Hi guys, Crystal here, whistleblowermedia.com, and I'm going to talk to you about Oath Keepers. It's so funny, you know, all the things I say about this and that and yapping yada yada yada. I get slammed quite often by friends, by fans, the people that, in the oddest places, slam me for supporting Oath Keepers. Now, in general, Oath Keepers has been made to seem like some sort of a anti-government, some sort of a, militia. And believe me, folks, the word militia is in the Constitution. Whoever made it evil, I mean, what? The word militia is a word. It's in the Constitution, okay? It's not to be made evil. Oath Keepers is not anti-government. It's not... let's overthrow local government. It's none of that. If you have ever been set up by law enforcement for anything at all, you're innocent, you've been set up, you've had proof and they've used it against you to set you up, you've been pulled over by a cop and, excuse me for saying this, you got kids in the room, so you're pulled over by a cop and you're like, a young girl, and the cop offers you to give him a blowjob and trade for your ticket. Right? I've had 3 dads call me crying on that. Sexual favors in lieu of the ticket. If you had extreme violations by law enforcement, and of course I do, like I said, there's tons of good cops out there. They don't have a chance quite often, but if you've been a part of this, where you've seen the truth, and you've seen where the courts, the cops, the judges, the corrupt attorneys have set you up, right? You're telling the truth and you've been set up. You know how it can ruin your life, the lives of your family, ruin your business, your way of life, just because law enforcement did not obey the law. Okay? Now when they get sworn in, they say, I promise to obey the Constitution and blah, blah, blah. Right? Okay. Well, that's great and that's wonderful. But when they get into certain situations, where the bad cops pressure them to be bad, or they can't tell on the bad cop or they'll lose everything, what do? They witnessed something bad happening, what do? Like the local cop in Eureka that just got fired. You say something's wrong? Boop, fired. Why? Oh, we'll make up some reason, but you're fired basically because you wouldn't let me violate that person's rights. Okay? So, I have had my rights violated, and I've been very vocal about it. And this is a little tangent, but not out of fear. I've been very vocal about it because I want to show you what happens to all the other victims. MontanaCorruption.com kind of shows you how far they'll go. And I have, of course, lots of other stories on that. But basically, Oath Keepers is what you want a cop to be involved in. Oathkeepers.org. More information on that. So, they take a constitutional oath to not violate your human rights, your civil rights, your dignity, to basically to honor you, it's a basic, the mythical, you're innocent until proven guilty. No, not in Montana. In Montana, you're guilty, guilty, until you prove yourself innocent, and it may take a decade to do, right? It's all right, it's just kind of the way it is. You come in with all this proof, and, right? Have you ever experienced that? Well, if you haven't, then you don't get it, okay? The cops that tell me they have always had the honor to where they will obey the Constitution no matter what. They will not violate that person's right. Doesn't mean that the person's not a criminal. Maybe they did commit a crime. Maybe they didn't. But that doesn't give you a right to violate them, to beat them, to go against their rights, right? Well, some cops do. Well, Oath Keepers is about the cops that say, you know what, I'm not going to do it. Not only did I say my oath to get into my position, I actually promise to not violate your constitutional rights. And I don't care if my superior tells me to do it. I don't care if I'm in the military and the highest general tells me to violate your rights. I am not going to violate your rights. I promise. That's what Oath Keepers is about. Are there radical nut jobs in Oath Keepers? Of course. There's radical nut jobs in every aspect of life. And some of these nut jobs get online and they do these crazy videos where they're all survivalist and acting all wild-eyed crazy. And people send me those videos and they're like, oh, you support Oath Keepers? This is Oath Keepers. No, that's not the point. Anybody can take anything in any direction they want. The basic point of Oath Keepers is to keep their oath to not violate you. If every cop and every sheriff did that, this whole world would be a better place. And if you don't elect somebody because they're part of Oath Keepers, then you don't get what Oath Keepers is all about, right? In Lincoln County, I see letters to the editor against Rex Nichols that was running against Robbie Rowe, slamming him because he was part of Oath Keepers. Now, do you understand what the sheriff does? A lot of people don't. Sheriff's elected, right? Doesn't have to know anything really about the law. Doesn't have to really be honorable. Doesn't have to really obey the law. There's no accountability. The sheriff is the law. I really didn't know that. I mean, I thought the sheriff was a cop and, there was accountability at different levels. But the sheriff in a county is the law of the land. The President of the United States cannot tell a sheriff what to do. A sheriff is their own entity. They have these superpowers to do whatever they want. And if they say you're guilty, you're guilty. And if they violate your rights, so what? What are you going to do about it? Nothing. If that sheriff is part of Oath Keepers, they're accountable to something greater than the corruption. Something greater than, yeah, I promise, give me the job, I'm going to be a cop. They promise to not violate you. They promise from their heart, their dignity, their honor. They promise to not violate your rights. They say it in a group of people that will hold them accountable for that honor. And they mean it. And will there be rogue Oath Keepers? Well, yeah, sure. Will people fall prey to different seductions of money and whatever and violate your rights and be an Oath Keeper? Yeah, there'll be some of them. That happens. But that's not what Oath Keepers is meant to be. Oath Keepers is meant to be law enforcement, military, the people that take this oath saying, hey, I mean it. I mean it. And I don't care if the sheriff is the law of the land. If the sheriff tells me to walk up to you and knock you in the back of the head, I'm not going to do it. I might cuff you and stuff you, but I'm going to do it the right way, right? I'm going to read you your rights, and I'm going to go through things by the Constitution and by the book. And if the sheriff tells me to do something that violates your right, and I'm a cop, and I work for the sheriff, I'm going to tell the sheriff no, because I'm part of Oath Keepers. You want every law enforcement agent to be part of Oath Keepers. Now, you can slam me, you can turn on me, you can do whatever you want. But that's what I believe, okay? I've been subject to this kind of corruption. I've seen it. I've read story after story after story. Nothing breaks your heart more than hearing a man cry about his daughter giving some cop a blowjob or having sex with some cop in some cemetery in Libby, Montana to get out of a ticket. And that's just one. I have so many stories of horror that if those cops were part of Oath Keepers, they'd have never done that. Oathkeepers.org, and check out my site, whistleblowermedia.com, or investigativblogger.com, and my Montana corruption stories at montanacorruption.com. Email me your story at crystal@crystalcox.com, and I hope you guys have a great day.